of myself, and you give power and influence to the wrong people. Look how it turns out. You have to hype yourself up and nobody else on the external is hyping you up. You have All right, and welcome back to Ascension with V. I'm your host, Stashia Jeanette, aka V, and today I'm here to talk about something that seems incredibly fitting for the time that we're currently in. We are just now one day post the lunar eclipse, full moon in Pisces, and Virgo has the sign of Virgo has had 2 full moons thus far in the month, which is, it's like the blue moon thing. But this particular eclipse came with a lot of shifting, a lot of shifts, a lot of changes, a lot of releases. So tomorrow will be the 9/9 portal. Actually, the 999, because this year is a 9-year, 2025, reducing down to a 9 in numerology. We are in a full release phase. We're in a full phase of letting go of things that don't belong, releasing from poverty and lack mindsets, illusions, releasing from anything and anyone that was possibly potentially holding us back from becoming our highest selves, healing, growing, evolving, things of this nature. And so I felt, what better time to talk about timeline shifting? And so I beg the question to you guys: have you ever woken up and felt like you're in a slightly different version of reality? Like, did you ever just wake up one day and feel like something's different, but like I can't quite put my finger on it? I'm not really sure what it is, but something about myself, about the people around me, about my home, about the environment where I'm at, about the stores, my animals, something of the nature is different. Right, you're technically in the same place, you're technically in the same body, but maybe you feel different, maybe you slightly look different, something of this nature. So this episode is probably gonna be short, because it's just short and sweet to the point, but I wanna give you guys some kind of examples, some real world examples and ways to identify when you have indeed shifted timelines and what timeline shifting actually is, what it looks like, how you can detect it. And again, always speaking from personal experience, so I can only give you, what it's been like for me, but maybe you guys can take my examples and apply them to your life and be like, oh shit, you know what? I think I've experienced something similar to this as well. So we're going to go ahead and dive in about timeline shifting, what timeline shifting is. And again, I'm all about simplicity. So essentially, it's just you moving into a new vibrational reality that matches your current frequency. Like, so I always say evolve or repeat. It's my little tagline, that's my slogan, evolve or repeat. So if you have chosen to evolve and you're no longer repeating the past cycles, or you're no longer repeating the same way of doing things and existing and making the same choices, but you have chosen to do the work on yourselves, to heal, to grow, to work on those inner child wounds, to work on the generational trauma, to detach yourself from people, places, and things that no longer serve your highest good, purpose, self, destiny, and timeline. Your energy, your vibration, and your frequency starts to elevate and grow as a result of you doing this inner work, of you getting rid of the baggage, of you taking time to go within to do the shadow work, to acknowledge those wounds, those triggers, those traumas, whatever the things may be that were kind of having a negative hold on you. Um, Again, most of the time from like early childhood years, and beyond that, a lot of us kind of, when it happens, we just throw it into the chest of things that we just don't talk about, we don't look at, we don't acknowledge, for years upon years down the line. And then, of course, as life goes on, life continues to happen, and you accumulate more and more things that kind of like go into that chest that can kind of weigh down your energy, weigh down your frequency. I tell people frequently that there are people that I've come across where it's incredibly heavy to try and travel with them. Imagine you are going to the airport and, you're just going on like a weekend trip, but like you brought 5 bags with you. This is what I mean by like they travel heavy. And those 5 bags would be the unpacked trauma and wounding and triggers and pain and all the things, the trauma that they have yet to deal with. And the further along that they go in life without dealing with these things, the more and more bags that they accumulate, to where it becomes impossible for them to travel, to take flight, because they have surpassed the weight limit, right, for takeoff. Like they're no longer able to take flight. So that's why a lot of people get stuck kind of repeating, because they have not done the work to lighten their load in order to ascend. So when you have begun doing the work, when you are doing the work and clearing out these things and you're lightening your load and you're able to travel light, that's when you can start doing this vibrational energy and frequency ascension that then begins to ripple out into your outer world, and it shifts you, like switches the channel to a new channel. It changes the channel to a higher frequency. I'm trying to give the best example here, but it's because you've done the inner work, and that inner work then translates into the outer work. You become a vibrational and energetic match to a timeline that has that energetic and vibrational match. Right. So we always talk about, like, I don't know, I know there's a cesspool of things out here in the spiritual community of, like, making timeline shifting or reality shifting being some sort of like woo-woo daydream type nonsense, type bullshit. But this is true energetic law of resonance, that when you align your energy, your frequency, your vibration to what it is that you want to attract, to what it is that you want to become, to where it is that you want to be going, you shift. It's not about you just like saying a spell or like creating X, Y, and Z, some sort of concoctions, or going out on the full moon and doing this, that, and the third. Like, it has nothing to do with this, of whatever it is that people are trying to sell to people. It's about you. It's you versus you every single day. It's you. It's you that's holding you back, and it's you that's going to push you forward. So when there's something that you want to achieve, when there is a version of you that you are set on becoming, once you make that determined intention, once you set that determination and intention out there, and you then begin to do the work within the self to match that version of you, once you get that match, boom, like, you've changed realities, you've changed timelines, you've done a timeline shift to reach that next level, to get you that much more closer to your highest self, your highest timeline, your highest version. And sometimes, depending on how much work that you have been doing, like, you can shift multiple timelines, and we kind of call that like a quantum leap, where it's like, it's almost like sometimes you hear things about people becoming like an overnight celebrity, and it's not really that. It's just that they had like a lag. They had like a lag in their quantum leaping, in their timeline shifting, for whatever reasons or purposes. That's not my area of how things in all of its explanation work. I just know that it does happen, and I've experienced that once before, where like, things were bad, things were really bad, and then after like a 2 or 3 month period, I'm like, where am I? This is great. But yeah, so that's how sometimes people can experience more than one timeline shift at once, and it's like a huge difference. Those are those examples of people kind of going from rags to riches, or that's kind of like the example of, the last time you saw a person, they were down bad, and then like the next time you see them, they look great, like a completely different person. You didn't even recognize them, you don't recognize their life. Essentially everything is completely different about these people. So anyways, I always give the metaphor of, it's essentially like, it's like changing channels on a TV. It's the same device, but it's a new program. And then I want to dive into kind of like the signs and symptoms of knowing that you have and or are or did shift timelines. And I always give like the example of, you remember that game It was like an online game, or sometimes you could back in the day, I'm a 92s ba I'm a 92s ba we had in school, it was like a book, like a workbook or like a magazine kind of thing where it was spot the difference. And in the magazine or on the game, you had 2 pictures. You had you had the original picture up at the top somewhere, like, in the middle, and then you had 2 additional photos, like, on the left and the right of it, and it's like, you had to find what was different about each of the pictures, and, it would be hard, like, it'd be really, really hard if you didn't have, like, an extreme attention to detail, which I did Virgo, so, like, Virgo, so I always was able to hone in and be like, "Hold on, something's not right," like, very quickly, but if you didn't have that immense attention to detail on a lot of these things, like, especially the further along in the book that you got or the further along higher in the levels of the game that you got, it would be even more difficult to spot the difference in the original photo and, like, the different photo. It'd be subtle things, like, maybe you were looking at a whole bunch of bushes that had, different colored peonies and different colored baby's breaths and different colored roses and all the things, but there would be like one thing about one of the buds, like maybe the center of the flower was like a slight color difference, like a slight color difference than the other original photo. Or I'll take it even a step further, right? Like there was one I remember playing, and it was one of the guy's eye color. And I mean, this was on the game, but one of the guy's eye color was the right eye was a slightly different color. Like he had green eyes and like the one eye was slightly hazel. And that was the difference. But in my real life example, there was a time where I had moved to this house and I had a closet in my bedroom. And for the love of me, I couldn't understand why they put this closet, and the closet didn't have any light. Like there wasn't a light switch to turn the light on. And when I had moved in, combed the wall, ran my hands all on the inside of the wall, all on the outside of the wall. I'm like, where's the light for it? I didn't even see a light on the inside for it, like the actual light bulb for it. And I was like, why does everybody else's closet have a light but mine? So then I had gone away for a while. I was doing like a project or something, and I came back. But while I was gone, I remember I was creating my V Squad Oracle deck at the time, and while I was doing that, I was going through a whole bunch of stuff. I was purging, I was doing a lot of inner work. And long story short, by the time I had got back to my house, I came back in and I kid you not, I had a light switch and a light bulb inside my closet. And I was like, what's this? I asked my mom, I was like, you see this light switch? None of us could recall when that light switch had got there because it definitely wasn't. It was a whole thing. We were even getting to the point where we were gonna call somebody to see if they could install a light in the closet. So, like, this is what I'm saying, and there's also ways that you can spot that outside of that, just your environmental changes. Sometimes businesses, restaurants, landmarks, familiar places can disappear or seem like they never existed, almost kind of giving like Mandela effect type thing. Maybe this is what Mandela effect actually is, but no, but they don't want to tell you that, right? It's like where you definitely recognize like something used to be there. There used to be a Best Buy that was down the street from me. Literally, it was there. People were going in it. The next day I came by, that Best Buy was gone. It was almost like Best Buy was never there, but literally less than 24 hours, that store was there. This is what I mean. It's a timeline shift. Maybe it was there at one point in time, and maybe it still is there on another timeline. Maybe it's the quote unquote Mandela effect. You know what I mean? But there's ways to tell that you're now in a different timeline outside of your environmental changes of businesses or restaurants not being there, or like never of existing. You might have different relationships with people that you used to get along really well with. Like now all of a sudden you guys don't get along with, like you guys are enemies. You guys, every time you see each other is like on site. You can feel that the vibe is off. Um, or they don't know you at all. I've had that experience as well where I definitely knew somebody, but like they didn't know me at all. And I didn't say anything. I just was like, "Oh, my bad." Um, I just let it go at that. Or vice versa. So maybe some people that you for sure had an on-site smoke beef with. Now maybe, when they see you, they're like, "Oh my God, hey, how are you doing? How you been? How's your family? How's your mom? How's your dogs? How's your X, Y, and Z?" You know what I mean? And and you're kind of like, "Get you all right?" You know what I mean? You're the one that's kind of like off-putted, or maybe you're the one that like people recognize you and you have no idea who they are, kind of a situation. That's another way. And then again, kind of like subtle differences and clothing, logos, conversations that people remember differently than you, of like maybe you remember telling somebody something about, I don't know, something that happened to you, that you stubbed your toe, when you went out fishing, you stubbed your toe on the tackle box, and then you had to wrap your toe up and put it on some ice, right? And like the person that was with you when you stubbed your toe, you had this conversation with later on, and they're like, "That never happened. I don't remember that at all." And meanwhile, you're like, "Look at my bruised toe. What you mean that never happened?" But like they don't remember. Or the biggest one really for me is the emotional resonance. So like you feel different. Like you feel lighter, you feel disconnected from your old wounds, from your old traumas, from your old pains, from old triggers. You don't feel like you are carrying those 5 pieces of luggage with you. Like you just got on like a backpack. Like you got on a little knapsack. You're going to go on an adventure because now you're cleared for takeoff. You have taken off. And so you feel that lightness, you feel that kind of rebirthed type feeling where you just feel rejuvenated and you feel happy, and you don't have that. I can only describe it as like this, like a ball and chain type of feeling, where you're no longer like connected to your painful past. You're no longer connected to your traumas. You're no longer connected to people, places, things, or past patterns that were, again, like I said, holding you back from you taking off, from you reaching the next highest timeline for yourself to become the highest version of yourself, or to reach your, again, highest timeline. And so a lot of people always ask like why or how timeline shifting happens. And essentially the core concept of when it happens, again, when your frequency rises and no longer matches your old timeline. So like there's also I'll second that, and also say there's like a predetermination factor of when you're about to do a timeline shift. And those predetermined that for the pre-symptoms of you getting ready to have a timeline shift is usually the old timeline that you're on starts crumbling. Like shit starts getting raggedy. Like things start feeling off, people start feeling off, places that you used to go start feeling off, like bad. Like for me, it feels triggering within my soul to be around these old people, places, or things. Like I can like we start clashing, or again, I feel restless, I feel uncomfortable or uneasy in these places. I can tell that I no longer belong there. And they meaning the people who were around me in that old timeline, can also detect like you don't belong here anymore, like you're not welcome here anymore. And I hate saying it like that. Listen, I'm good wherever I go, but like I can of a previous timeline can tell that I've phased out of that timeline. And it's not like they say anything to me, but like it's like the this kind of look that like I'll get of like, "Oh, so now you're better than us," kind of thing. And it's not them saying that. They don't say that, but it's the look and it's the vibe. You can tell that they can tell that you're no longer the same, and that you've grown or outgrown them in that place. And so these are kind of like the pre-symptom triggers, the kind of alarm bells that you can stay cognizant to, and kind of keep in your subconscious for when you're going through life. And if you start experiencing things, you go somewhere, like you used to go to a coffee shop all the time, and it used to be your favorite place, and that used to be where you got all your work done or what have you. You walk up into that coffee shop, and all of a sudden, like, you get hit with like a pungent, like, ugh, kind of energy, where your heart rate starts going up, you feel uncomfortable, you feel unwanted, you feel like everybody's eyes are looking at you, kind of like giving you the up and down, kind of giving you the mean mug, kind of checking you out in some kind of, you know what I'm saying? In a way, in a manner in which it did not happen previously. This is like a subtle cue that you have outgrown, and you're about to shift timelines to a higher timeline. So keep that in your mind, keep that in your psyche, of if you start experiencing things like this when you're, but it's about where in the people that you used to be around and the places that you used to be around. When those two things start feeling uncomfortable and they start giving you side eye, that's when you know. They know that you've outgrown them, and they know that you're about to outgrow and leave that timeline. Right. So remember that is your warning sign. That is your warning sign that you are about to shift timelines to a higher timeline. So I went off on like a side quest of like why it happens. The core concept was just because your frequency rises and you no longer match the old timeline. And people will know that you're no longer a vibrational match with them. You're no longer their equal. And then they feel some type of way, but they usually don't say anything. They'll just say it with their stank face and their eyeballs. You know what I'm saying? They can tell that you have elevated, evolved. And then your energetic alignment, like, you'll have had that. It goes from energetic alignment, vibrational upgrade, and then your reality recalibrates. And that's that timeline shift where now you're doing spot the difference, trying to be like, all right, well, this is the same house, something's different. Same job, something's different. Same body, but something's different. And then this is a natural byproduct of going through the ascension process. This is not something that's forced. It's not something that you can just like open up a box, say an incantation, something that you can bottle up and sell to people. This isn't something that you can coach people through to do. Like, you can give people the ingredients to bake the cake, but ultimately they still gotta do the work. You cannot do the work for anybody for them to evolve enough to become an energetic match for the people, places, or things that they are desiring, right? So again, if the people's desires are to become their highest selves, if their desire is to be on their highest timeline, so that's a them thing. They have to do the work within themselves to match that timeline. And again, it's a long process. It's not an overnight thing. It's not something that someone else can do for you. You have to be committed to your healing. You have to be committed to your growth. You have to be committed to letting go of those pieces of luggage that you don't need, because it's weighing you down. It's preventing you from being able to lift off, from being able to ascend, from being able to take flight, to reach those next highest timelines, your next highest versions. So I'll say this, like, again, keep this in your mind. If you want to travel, you have to travel light. If you want to fly, you have got to fly light. You have to let go of the baggage. You have to let go of the ball and chain. You have to let go of the grudges. You have to let go of the trauma. You have to let go of the pain. You have to let go of the suffering. You have to let go of the lack and poverty mindset. You have to let go of the I'm better or they're better type situations. You have to let go of the keeping one separate, the polarity of dark versus light type of situation. You have to let go of a lot of the things that have been instilled in you to believe, right? Because a lot of the things that were instilled into us to believe add to those bags, add to those luggages that are weighing us down. So again, when you are able to do the work within yourself and realize what is right and true for you, what is your truth, what is authentic, what is real for you, and you become very light. You become buoyant. You can float. So you can fly. Another key component to this is having really good spiritual hygiene while you're doing this. Y'all gonna get tired of me talking about doing spiritual hygiene, but like it's super important because people don't be doing it. The more that you clear, heal, and raise the frequency, the more fluidly your shifts can occur. So again, while you're going through this process of purging out things, while you're going through the process of doing your shadow work, make sure that you're also integrating in that spiritual hygiene of cleansing your auric field, doing the Palo Santo, cutting cords, asking Archangel Michael to cut all cords, ties, string attachments, connections and ties and binds to anyone and anything negatively affecting you, using you, abusing you, siphoning from you, draining you, lowering your energy, holding you back, keeping you down, plotting against you with evil malicious intentions, and all spiritual attacks, and returning these things immediately back to senders with love, light, and healing across all past lives, timelines, dimensions, realms, corners of the world, and people, places, and things, sending them. So mote it be. Amen, amen, amen. Please cleanse your crystals. Get you a selenite bowl, put them in the in the selenite bowl every night. It's not once a week, it's not once a month, it's every day. When you wake up, put your crystals in the selenite bowl to cleanse so that they are ready for your nightly usage. That's those are the key components to help you navigate through letting go of the baggage, letting go of things that are weighing you down so that you can start to become into alignment with your highest timeline and self. And some final thoughts on how to navigate your shift. Again, don't panic when you start seeing things or something's amok. Something's different here. So just embrace that as confirmation. Again, also when you start experiencing the pre-shifting symptoms of going places that you used to go, or being around people that you used to be around and things feel off, you can then have more comfort in knowing that, like, oh, okay, I'm shifting, or oh, okay, I've grown, my energy is growing, my vibration is growing, my frequency is growing, and so I'm just am no longer a vibrational match to these people anymore, to this place anymore, to this job or this thing, whatever the case may be, any longer. And then trying to do things to kind of help you integrate into your new self, your new timeline. By I will always tell you guys this because this is what I do. I'm not going to deviate from the truth of what it is that I do in my daily life or practice. I ground frequently. If I can't actually put my feet in the grass outside, then I do visualize roots coming from my root chakra deep down into Mother Earth, and visualizing the heartbeat of Mother Earth syncing up with mine, and then also my connection with God, Source, Universe, kind of coming down from the others and connecting at the heart chakra of my heart chakra. So everything is integrated, everything is feeding into one another. Yeah, it's grounding, it's stabilizing, it helps you not feel like you're being tossed and turned with the waves and the currents of the universe as you're going through all of this kind of upheaval and shifts and changes and transitions. And then again, having really good discernment. Not every person or opportunity comes with you. Some are meant to dissolve by design because not everybody signs up to go on the ascension path. Not everybody signed up to become their highest version. Not everybody signed up to do the healing work, to do the shadow work, to acknowledge their fears, wounds, and generational traumas, and to break through those things. Not everybody is a generational trauma breaker. Not everybody is a light crusader. Not everybody chose to do this very tedious work that requires a lot of resiliency, that requires a lot of faith in the unseen, a lot of walking by faith and not by sight. Not everybody chose that because it is rough, and you have to be okay with that. You get very good at having to say goodbye to people. And I will tell people that frequently. If you are one of the ones that have chosen to ascend to your highest self version and timeline, you will have to become okay with your life being a revolving door of people constantly. People, places, things, because you will outgrow others. And not everyone is meant to stay in your life. And in fact, you will have more that do not stay in your life than do, because again, the aforementioned, not everybody signed up do this work, to be on this path of ascension. And so you will have very deep soul connections, both romantically and platonically, but they are not all going to come with you. And it's that they're giving me that line, "'Tis better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all." And it is true. And I get kind of tired of having to say goodbye to people. So now I've kind of changed it to see you on the other side. And what is that? Cowboy Bebop. Later, Space Cowboy. It is like this because I I recognize so many souls, while I come through this process. I meet so many people in their darkness, and I meet so many people in the light, and I meet so many people where our souls just immediately, like, at least on my end, I immediately am like, "Oh my God, it's you!" And I don't know who you is, but I know them, and it feels like a reunion of soul, a reunion of family, so star family, and we have our contractual terms, like whatever it is that we're meant to give for one another or do for one another or activate within one another. And then I can feel it. I can feel when the time of us being able to communicate in the physical or see each other in the physical is dwindling. Because again, I'm growing. I'm growing and they're not. And that sucks. It sucks, it's painful, it hurts, and I'm, like, emotional talking about it now because, like, it doesn't ever stop hurting. It doesn't ever stop being something that kinda pierces your heart and soul when you recognize soul family and you have to let them go because you do, you chose to grow and evolve and to heal and to become your highest version of self. And you have to be okay with the fact that not everybody else chose that. I ask myself frequently, is it worth it to continue meeting people that I know I'm just going to have to let go of and say goodbye to, or is it better to just keep to myself and not meet these people? And every time I always choose, of course I'm going to meet them. Of course I'm going to meet them. Number beyond that, like, we got a soul contract. We have a soul contract. Like, you can't go back on the terms and conditions of the soul contract. But it doesn't, like, this is like no fake or facade here. I'm crying because it hurts. It hurts having to let go of soul family, especially when, you have no idea how long it's been that you have waited to come back in contact physically or spiritually with the particular soul. Like, it could have been lifetimes, that you guys have not been able to meet as souls, again. It could have been light years upon light years of times, as far as star family goes. Listen, the time difference between Earth's time and other planets and galaxies times, like, it's a long, it's a difference. It's a long difference. And so there's no telling how long it may have been where you and another soul that you might come in contact with here has been before you guys could connect again. So, like, it sucks and it hurts and it's really painful to have to say goodbye to people, to souls that you haven't seen in a long time. But again, I will continue to take the short time that I have with people that I come in contact with, that my soul recognizes right off the bat, from light years or lifetimes prior to, rather than not being able to meet up with them at all. So I do want to give you guys that kind of word of caution, of preparation, to know that you will say goodbye to a lot of people often, because you're growing, because you're choosing your highest timeline, you're choosing to evolve. And a lot of the people that you meet along the way, um sometimes you're there to activate them, to give them the opportunity to jump on the bandwagon of ascension. But it's up to them. It's their choice. So you may see them again some other time, maybe in this current incarnation or not. Then that's the gamble. That's the thing. That's the part that sucks. You don't know. So just know, that is something that happens. But it is what it is. Not every person or opportunity or place comes with you, and you have to be okay with that. At the end of the day, you should celebrate the fact that you have grown, all that you have overcome and accomplished, all that you were able to work through and dissolve out and to acknowledge and to heal and to face and to conquer. You know, a lot of us, this incarnation, we got struck down lifetime after lifetime after lifetime prior to us getting to the point to where we could reclaim our true selves and allow our true selves to be seen and to take our power back. And so for us to be able to do the immense amount of healing and growth and releasing that is required for us to be on this path right now, it's huge. It's really, really huge. And thank yourself and thank your past versions of yourself that handed you the baton to get to the point where you're at right now. Don't look back on your past selves and your past versions with disgust, with embarrassment, because every single version of you did the best that it could to keep you alive, to help you survive, to help you become who you are right now, despite the things that you were going through, you know, while you were still in the Mariana Trenches, while you were still in the abyss, while you were still under ambush, under attack, under whatever things that you were going through while you were at your Challenger Deep, at your lowest point. Right? Those versions of yourselves, their main goal was to make sure that you survived long enough for them to pass the baton to the next version of you and the next version and the next version for you to become who you are right now. And so that you right now can hand the baton to the next version as you continue to reality shift, as you continue to timeline shift into your highest version and self and timeline. So please give your past selves compassion, a big hug, and I'm sorry for being so hard on you. I'm sorry for not loving you. I'm sorry for not appreciating you. Whatever you need to say to your past versions of self, because tomorrow, 999, we're releasing all that no longer serves our highest selves, purpose, destiny, timeline, across all past lives, timelines, dimensions, realms, corners of the world, and people, places, and things that this may apply to, with love, with light, with healing. We are letting it all go because it's time for us to fly high. And with that being said, you guys, I hope that this episode was helpful, insightful, tearful. I hope that it helps you purge and release anything that you need to purge and release. And that's pretty much it. Pay attention to the signs. Pay attention to the signs and evolve or repeat. Choice is yours. Don't forget that you can book a one-on-one reading with me, a personalized reading with me. I have the link for the Venmo or to the booking thing, whatever that you want to do, in the description box below. And as well as you can apply to work one-on-one with me for shadow work, coaching, inner child healing coaching, or just personalized coaching, whatever you need. We'll tailor it to you. And the New Earth Guidebook to Healing and Ascension is available on Amazon. And until next time, you guys, be squad.